for me, a garden has to be a place of, yes, function and production, but also enjoyment, beauty, creativity, mystery, all of those things intertwined, like the secret garden. Our garden is coming into its third season. We've been working on it year on year. And what size is it?
About a 60 foot by 80 foot or 100 foot or something like that. So ballpark 5,000 square feet, 80 feet times 60 feet, 4,800, right?
I can't do that in my head.
Well, 2 zeros and 4,800, nearly 5,000 square feet.
Anyway, hopefully
Don't worry about square footage. It's just 100 foot this way and 60, 70 foot that way. It's all good.
We'll try and get you around it before the light goes. The garden's still in development, and year on year, as we keep adding, there'll be sort of more things layered into the garden.
These are our raised beds. These are the first ones we did here on our homestead, and they are they're about yay big to my knee and 16 feet long, 3 feet wide. It saves the back, right? Digging in here and everything. Split log style. So we just chunked up some logs at 20-ish inches long, and then I took the maul, split the log in half, popped it open, screwed the logs together. I think Carrie's got some footage on how we're gonna. What are you gonna? Is that one where we're gonna go to the comments and see a video of how this is done?
There is a video of the. We need to remake it, really.
Okay.
One of the things that I really like about the log beds, and I didn't like it to start with because...
What?
No, hear me out. The first year, it attracted a whole bunch of like wasps and ants and things like that. And I was like, oh no, what have we done? Because of, you know, the bark and all the rest of it. The insects are really attracted to the wood. But what I found, and actually through a bit of research, those insects are predatory, and so I actually didn't struggle with pests, like plant-eating pests in those beds, and I think it's because of the ants and the wasps that were very busy eating those worms and caterpillars and larvae and things like that.
Aphids.
Aphids. I didn't see one aphid.
No aphids.
So, you know, at the most we had some squash beetle on one of the plants when we had squash there 2 years ago.
So if you have questions about that, are you still recording? Ask me. Call me up. Action.
So the original beds, what we're growing are herbs. So I really want us to get the herb garden established this year. So we've got things like parsley and coriander, and although they are not perennial, they're good reseeding annuals. So that means what they'll do is they'll grow up, we'll harvest, they'll flower, they'll drop their seeds, and then we'll come back to sort of produce new plants the next year. And in these beds also grow some of the root crops and bulbs like onions and spring onions and carrots, because the soil is really rich, and it's not like the tough in-ground clay soil. So those roots can have a good chance of developing.
Okay, so next was the, not these, as cool as they are, I think Carrie made a nice hip reel about that. So we had these, we called them the no-till. Somebody needs to do some weed eating in here. This is pathetic. Had a good amount of rain. Really shot up stuff. Our no-till beds, right? They're 60 feet long, just a couple feet wide. Then the idea was these T-posts linked together with conduit, and using some street elbows and T's down here, and then dropping what do you call it, garden wire, garden twine. So the idea here is when the tomato is going to grow up, it's going to latch onto this this garden twine. And these are a lot of these are going to be the cherry tomatoes, correct?
Well, this year we've also got
And some
we've got also the
beefsteak,
and Roma this
which
year.
would be the heavier. They'll need caged. And
I want to see how, if the twines can support the branches.
I mean, you're talking a beefsteak the size of a softball, not to mention the weight of it. So anyway, there's our row crop. We actually did 2 sets of these, so to kind of make our garden a bit symmetrical. So just to show you guys, this is what the other 3 rows were opposite from over there, and we just put panels on for things to grow up, and just try it out and see what works best with whatever you're growing. The wind is picking up. Action.
So along here we've got strawberries, and then the middle row is all pepper plants, and then on the back row we have got beans, and they're interplanted with the blackberries and the raspberries and some corn.
Next we're going to move over to the newer raised beds and arches. Okay, so this was the next build for raised beds, and these are shorter than our original ones, and we used pallet wood instead of the logs, but we used offcuttings from the sawmill to pin the pallet wood together. And so there was a lot more labor, I think, with a lot of the cutting of the boards and tearing apart the pallet. But then we installed this is just a hog panel as the arch, and we use this a couple years now. We did cucumbers last year. Now we got grapevines in it and some herbs growing. And so Carrie did a second one this year. Same principle, same idea, and she's got some footage and a how-to. She'll put up a link for that as well. So this has all been new this year. This path up back to the fence here, where we've all put in this year with different pins. Beds, small beds.
Year on year, as we keep adding, there'll be sort of more things layered into the garden.
Right. It's
Like
never
pathways,
done.
I see pathways and a little pond and water feature.
It's gonna look great.
Because I think that ultimately, the more sort of different, what's the word I'm looking for? Biodiverse. The more biodiverse you can make your garden, the different habitats you create for like birds and frogs and insects and all of those things.
Snakes,
that actually
turtles,
all of those
rabbits.
things that contributes to the health of a garden. So these little raised beds that are also built on the logs, which I have a DIY video for, the idea of those were to have self-contained pods, if you like, for the perennial vegetables and some fruit. So we've got a blueberry bush in one. This year I'm growing squash in another one, but I would like to add things like artichoke and asparagus and things that will come back year on year, and they'll have their own sort of space in the garden. So I'm planning to add some more of these. So these were just 2 fire pit rings that I had bought. I wanted to try them out, see how I like them for a raised bed. I've got these bamboo canes in here, and we're going to try growing cucumbers on here. Later on we might try something different, maybe peas, sweet peas. Not sweet peas, what do you call peas that you eat? Do you call them sweet peas? Because I just call them peas.
Well, that's what I call them, peas.
Okay. Are you still recording?
Huh?
So later on we might grow peas on here. So I'm still trying to figure one out. But as Caleb said, these are just kind of all new pieces that we're adding and still developing this midsection of the garden. So in these 2 archways this year we're going to be growing loofah. It's the first time that we're growing loofah here, and we're going to see how that goes. I really wanted a place in the garden that was going to be sort of a place that I could sit and enjoy and
To meditate. So this was this is built in 2022, about 2 weeks ago. And this is made out of, not a hickory, oak. And I think Carrie had a video of the tree that I had dropped, and there was a couple logs I had cut out of that tree. And then one Sunday after church, I said, hey, let me just mill that log up and we can get a pergola out of it, maybe. And so that's what we did. And so out of that one log, which is like 12 foot long, and it was probably 15 inches around, I milled the posts and the boards, and then buried the post, and Carrie and I worked on it all afternoon. So now, we're done, right?
Okay, what's your favorite thing about the garden?
The food. The whole point, right? Isn't it?
Right, yeah.
Isn't it the whole point of going to all that trouble? Is the harvest. Oh, but the labors are so few. Let's hope we have a plentiful harvest. What's your favorite thing about the garden?
Just the way it all works together.
Ah. So it's not about the food. I guess I'm excited for the trees and
Let's talk about
raspberries.
the fruit we put in this year.
Let's talk about barren fruit.
Boom, boom.
Pause.